It's been a busy year for Crypto.com and the whole team, yeah, absolutely. Lots of things going on, and it's only getting faster every other week. Nothing literally changed. We are focusing on the global rollout of the card, so we are live in Singapore right now. We are extending this to Asia Pac soon, and then the big launch is US, and Europe is coming next, right? So the global distribution platform with the card, this is our top priority. In parallel, we are building and rolling out new products. We already have Crypto Invest out there. We've got an interest-earning product for cryptocurrency coming out soon, together with a credit product. So you have the full portfolio within Q2. Right? We also became over time one of the best places to actually buy crypto. You can now use a bank transfer, a credit card to buy the top cryptocurrencies in our app, and the spreads are super thin, as low as 8 bips, 10 bips, 20 bips. So it's actually, the spreads are lower than the fees you would be paying on an exchange. Right? So we build a connectivity to all major exchanges. We are aggregating the liquidity. We are providing best execution to retail customers. So this is very disruptive, and we see in the transaction volumes on the platform that this is a valuable service for our customers. Oh, you know, no question about it. I mean, you just have to do the math. I mean, it's so much cheaper. There's literally no point to use anything else. Look, we are not an exchange, right? So if you're a professional trader and you're trading altcoins, of course you should go to BINANCE, is the place to trade. But if you're just looking to move from fiat to crypto, buy Bitcoin, Ether, and such, and you want to have the ability to access your funds with a Visa card, if you want to perhaps earn some interest or get a loan using crypto as collateral. For this type of full suite of products, Crypto.com is the only place to go. I actually love the bear market, because if you look at 2017, if you're a participant in the crypto industry at the time, it was probably a little bit difficult to differentiate between the teams who are actually going to build useful products and services and those that are simply hyping things up during the boom. I think right now it's visible to everybody with a naked eye which teams are delivering week in, week out, and building and useful services, right? So we actually we're enjoying this bear market very much. I don't think we'll have to wait too long for the trend to reverse. Probably a year and a half, and everything's going to be back to hype mode. Yeah, I think there's a convergence of two big trends. One is institutional money coming in, and you've got already the Fidelity digital assets operation up and running, and you've got a lot of big players coming in. You've got banks issuing their own stable coins and whatnot. More and more large LPs are actually getting mandates to invest in crypto hedge funds. So there's also quite a lot of OTC demand. People are accumulating Bitcoin already. I think this is only going to increase. For me, it's not a question of if institutional money comes, but when. And throughout the year, you will see people ticking off all the boxes. You will have the digital asset custody solved. You'll have valuation and accounting methods solved, and you'll have more mandates for large LPs to invest. So it's all coming together. On the other side, you've got the large consumer brands coming into this space. I think the biggest news of the year is going to be Facebook issuing its coin. If they make it a part of their new unified messaging platform that Messenger and WhatsApp are going to run on top. This is going to be the biggest event in cryptocurrency by far. They have 2.3 billion monthly active users. If they enable these users to send money to each other, and then you've got platforms like Instagram, they can make it transactional very easily with it. I think it's going to be the biggest cryptocurrency on-ramp that we could ever see in this market. Just compare the numbers, right? 30-40 million people versus 2.3 billion monthly active. It's massive. You've got other brands like Samsung coming up with the wallet as a standard feature on the S10, right? Samsung is the largest handset manufacturer in the world by volume, right? So again, these things have real impact. So you have the convergence of the institutional money coming in and more consumers being aware of crypto, and you just slap on top of it all the companies in the ecosystem that are building new products and delivering every week, every month. I think it's inevitable that the market will turn from bear mode to bull mode. Obviously, everybody's looking forward to the Bitcoin event in May next year, right? So I think that's going to be even accelerating things further. But fundamentals are super strong, right? Super strong. Well, the vision remains the same. We want to bring cryptocurrency to every wallet. I think that two things that are most important to us is that, number one, we've built a very strong team of currently around 120, 130 people, and most of them are in engineering and product and security. So this allows us to build higher quality products and release them faster. And the second biggest change is the product itself. I mean, it's just so much more useful today than it was a year ago when we launched at Money 2020. And combining the product roadmap with a team that actually delivers every 2 weeks is very powerful, and you will see acceleration in terms of how we are delivering on our roadmap. We view this market really broadly, so we really don't consider cryptocurrency startups our competition. Again, the customers are with the banks. So we are building a very powerful banking alternative, right? With a better card, a better investment product, a better credit product, and so on. And we didn't even scratch the surface yet, right? There are hundreds of millions of customers that will find the product we're building useful and valuable. So I think we are seeing this as the benchmark rather than looking at the cryptocurrency space. And I think it will benefit the entire industry if everybody is less tribal and looking at I support this project or this project is competing with that project, and try to think in terms of how can we broaden the size of the entire ecosystem. This is not a zero-sum game. Everybody who approaches this as a zero-sum game is making a huge mistake, and that's not how value creation happens. You start with something useful. You build a product that people want to use, and that generates revenues. This is how you create value, and not by shifting money from project A to project B within what is still today a very small space. So we've got now 400,000 people on the platform, and it's growing pretty fast, but we are not releasing daily numbers for competitive reasons. We're approaching 8 million tokens on the platform, out of which almost 4 million is locked up. We actually see a positive growth in the numbers, so the number of tokens that are being locked up is higher than those that are being released. Again, no numbers, we don't want our competitors. You can see that we are not reporting our numbers to CoinMarketCap. That's a conscious decision. We don't want everybody to see how our product releases and product decisions are affecting the transaction volumes on the platform. 2-3 years later, we'll very happily share these numbers with everybody. What I can say is this: we are very, very pleased with how the KPIs are moving. Again, same story. No card numbers. No card numbers.
How many are pending?
Oh, we've got, I think we mentioned this in the deck last night at the meetup, we've got around 120,000 cards that are reserved. So for us, lack of demand is not the problem. We just need to get the product out to people in multiple markets as soon as possible. That's the focus. I can't comment on that. So you can, again, we've got multiple tiers, right? So obviously you know, the free cards and which is the Midnight Blue, the plastic one, and the Ruby, which is the first tier metal card, are the two most popular cards. Having said that, you know, I personally think that the sweet spot is the 500 MCO card, which gives you 3% cash back, free Netflix, free Spotify, free lounge, and a metal card. So it's much more powerful than the American Express Platinum card, much more useful, and you don't have to pay $1,000 annual fee for it. So we've got issuing partners for Singapore and Asia Pac, Europe, US, Australia, and Canada. So it's 5 today.
How many in Singapore?
No, there's just one. Per market is just one card issuing partner. Look, it took us, like, we started this company in June 2016, right? So we're looking at 2.5 to 3 years to actually roll out the product. We spend a lot of time to make sure that we do things the right way the first time and that our infrastructure is stable, no matter from banking partnerships perspective or the card schemes or even, you know, the auditors, everything, right? So you just have to do it the right way, and then it's stable, and you don't need to have a backup, because nobody's gonna spend 2 years to build a solution just to have a backup. Yeah, so actually it's very simple, right? The networks today, they don't accept cryptocurrency as a native form of transaction settlement, right? And our vision is to bring cryptocurrency to every wallet and accelerate the world's transition to crypto. So you can say that we had no choice. It's the infrastructure is not there. We're gonna go and build it. And our understanding of how payment networks operate and work is very, very beneficial to actually making this product successful. Because it's not only about the technology. I mean, it's our own public chain, near instant transaction settlement, but without a working go-to-market strategy, you will never be able to reach scale in terms of merchants and customer side, right? So we look at it holistically. We think it's our most important project, most ambitious ones too, and this is the thing that will help us really accelerate the world's transition to cryptocurrency. You know, just in terms of impact, the largest card programs in the world today have 4 or 5 million cards, right? So we only need to ship 5 million cards and we are the biggest program in the world. But does it change the face of and the size of the entire cryptocurrency industry? It doesn't. It builds a great business for us. That's a given, very valuable. But you know, what do we do? What can we do to contribute to take this market from 30, 40 million people to 100 million people, 200 million people, 500 million people? To do this, you need to move from the speculative phase, where digital assets are just you know, an investment vehicle, into payments. You need to be able to pay for your groceries at Walmart with crypto. That's how you onboard 500 million people, 1 billion people, right? And this is a key missing piece of infrastructure that we're building. And it will take us 5 to 10 years to roll it out to millions of merchants and hundreds of millions of customers. But that's the ultimate moonshot. That's the ultimate goal. Yeah, we already signed up a few great brands. Some of them in crypto space, like Ledger. You'll be able to sign up to use Crypto.com Pay on the Ledger site soon. There's a mixture of things. First of all, the integration needs to be very simple. Secondly, you need to handle the volatility for merchants, because most of them, they have no interest in being exposed to the markets up and downs, right? You need to handle the settlement to fiat, and you need to make sure that there is real incentive for the users to actually pay with crypto after it's deployed on the merchant side. So financial incentives both on the merchant side and the customer side are very important. And you need to wrap it all in a smooth, easy to use user experience that everybody loves. And merchants, generally speaking, don't just knock on your door and say, okay, I need this. You need to have a team of people to actually onboard them. So it's a complicated project. Some of the key aspects of our strategy, how we're going to scale merchant onboarding, have not been made public yet for competitive reasons, but you can count on one thing. We're going to be different than everybody else, and we're going to be very disruptive. It's not going to be any different than opening a Stripe account. One line of code, and you're off to the races. Okay, so the way we look at this is that the large payment networks are processing trillions of dollars in every quarter, right? So I don't think they will view what we do as a massive competition for a long time. And the way we approach this is to be inclusive. We're building infrastructure. If at one point in time they say, okay, we want to get into this and enable it for the whole network, we will do our best to help them get it done. And this will be our contribution to the entire ecosystem. I'm a terrible trader. I just encourage people to take a long-term view and hodl.
Which one?
So obviously, you should all have Bitcoin in your portfolio, and you should all have both MCO and CRO. They are different coins with different utilities, different use cases, and supporting two different sides of the marketplace. One is on the consumer side, one is on the merchant side, right? I'm positive about both. Yeah, I think Ethereum has a huge head start, and it's got a very engaged community of developers around the world. And it's again, don't treat it as an investment advice because I'm a poor trader, but I think it's definitely oversold. I think if somebody's looking for like a shorter time frame, 3 to 6 months, I mean the trade of the day is to be in the exchange coins that are running their initial exchange offering platforms right now. But probably the good entry points were two months ago rather than today. Again, bear market was badly needed. I think it's a good thing for the long-term health of the industry. I think it's not a question of if the market will turn, but when. And we are probably like halfway through. So if you hodled all the way till now, we are slowly seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So stay strong.